discipline of the will. Because he has become more myth than man, most people are unaware that Abraham Lincoln battled crippling depression his entire life. Known at the time as melancholy, his depression was often debilitating and profound, nearly driving him to suicide on 2 separate occasions. His penchant for jokes and bawdy humor, which we find more pleasant to remember him for, was in many ways the opposite of what life must have seemed like to him during his darker moments. Though he could be light and joyous, Lincoln suffered periods of intense brooding, isolation, and pain. Inside, he struggled to manage a heavy burden that often felt impossible to lift. Lincoln's life was defined by enduring and transcending great difficulty. Growing up in rural poverty, losing his mother while he was still a child, educating himself, teaching himself the law, losing the woman he loved as a young man, practicing law in a small country town, experiencing multiple defeats at the ballot box as he made his way through politics, and of course the bouts of depression, which at the time were not understood or appreciated as a medical condition. All of these were impediments that Lincoln reduced with a kind of prodding, gracious ambition and smiling, tender endurance. Lincoln's personal challenges had been so intense that he came to believe that they were destined for him in some way, and that the depression especially was a unique experience that prepared him for greater things. He learned to endure all this, articulate it, find benefit and meaning from it. Understanding this is the key to understanding the man's greatness. For most of Lincoln's political career, slavery was a dark cloud that hung over our entire nation, a cloud that could and had to lift. Some ran from it, others resigned themselves to it, or became apologists. Most assumed it meant the permanent breakup of the Union, or worse, the end of the world as they knew it. It came to be that every quality produced by Lincoln's personal journey was exactly what was required to lead the nation through its own journey and trial. Unlike other politicians, he was not tempted to lose himself in petty conflict and distractions. He could not be sanguine. He could not find it in his heart to hate like others would. His own experience with suffering drove his compassion to allay it in others. He was patient because he knew that difficult things took time. Above all, he found purpose and relief in a cause bigger than himself and his personal struggles. The nation called for a leader of magnanimity and force of purpose. It found one in Lincoln, a political novice who was nevertheless a seasoned expert on matters of will and patience. These attributes were born of his own severe experience, as he often called it, and the characteristics were representative of a singular ability to lead the nation through one of its most difficult and painful trials, the Civil War. As crafty and ambitious and smart as he was, Lincoln's real strength was his will. The way that he was able to resign himself to an onerous task without giving into hopelessness, the way he could contain both humor and deadly seriousness, the way he could use his own private turmoil to teach and help others, the way he was able to rise above the din and see politics philosophically. "This too shall pass," was Lincoln's favorite saying, one he